Hi everyone. Okay, so in my last video I talked about these two movies, Ice Cold in Alex and Flame in the Streets. In this video I want to move on to a completely different subject, but it is a movie that links in with both of these movies. So I'm going to start off by talking about this movie, Woman in a Dressing Gown, and this is a movie from 1957. Now, it's directed by J. Lee Thompson, the same director as Ice Cold in Alex, and it also stars two of the same people who are in Ice Cold in Alex, and that is Anthony Quayle here and Sylvia Syms. And this also stars the great Yvonne Mitchell, an actress who appeared in films such as Basil Dearden's Sapphire, J. Lee Thompson's Tiger Bay, and also Yield to the Night. And it links in with Flame in the Streets because it has the same screenwriter, and that is Ted Willis. Now, I've got to say, I love this movie. So what we have here is a movie about an extramarital affair. And so we have Yvonne Mitchell as the housewife here. She's married to Anthony Quayle. They have a long marriage. They have a grown-up son who is now working. And Yvonne Mitchell's character, Amy, she absolutely is a dedicated housewife. She really looks after her husband and son, caters to their every need. She is frantically working around the house, cooking them meals, sewing buttons on for them, doing any kind of chores, but she lives in a house of chaos. There is so much clutter that is around the house. There's lots of dishes everywhere. She's a very chaotic kind of natured person. She always has the radio on loud, and she's constantly chattering and thinking of other things. She gets distracted very easily, and so quite easily her meals can get burned because she's distracted doing something else. And into this we have Anthony Quayle as the husband, and he is working and he is having an affair with a much younger woman played by the beautiful Sylvia Syms, and she's the secretary at his office. She's complete contrast to Yvonne Mitchell's Amy because she's a very prim, beautiful young woman, well kept, looks after herself. And she is besotted with Anthony Quayle, and she really wants to live with him. She wants him to get a divorce. So we're into this difficult scenario of a man who's been in a long time marriage, and he needs to kind of pluck up the courage to actually get a divorce. And it starts off with him keep promising to do that, but not actually going ahead with it. And so there becomes more and more frustration on the part of Georgie, the character played by Sylvia Syms, and things must come to a head. And this really is a fantastic drama. Now, it is quite exaggerated for the time a little bit because Yvonne Mitchell's character really is quite in your face, if you like. I mean, she really is constantly full of movement and very chaotic in terms of her character. But this is such a sensitive and empathetic film that really takes pains to look carefully at that kind of difficult scenario of a man falling for a younger woman, the carelessness of the younger woman, sort of having the naivety of thinking that things are all going to work out, and then that sense of the wife who has been so hard working throughout all of this marriage, and she knows her husband inside out. She knows all the faults and foibles about him, which the young woman does not yet really know. So yeah, inevitably these three characters have to meet and talk about it. Just a beautiful film this. It's really well acted. As with Ice Cold in Alex, it is photographed by the great Gilbert Taylor. So really good cinematographer who worked on such a range of great movies, most famously perhaps working on Star Wars and Flash Gordon, but he also worked earlier in his career on things such as Roman Polanski's Cul-de-sac and Repulsion. But yeah, really great framing in this, the way he frames the characters. You get so involved, and like I say, this really is an empathetic movie. I absolutely love this. Yvonne Mitchell won the award at the Berlin Film Festival for Best Actress, and the film picked up a few other awards there. Very critically well received, although apparently Jean-Luc Godard gave it a bit of a scathing review and thought that it should have been played as a comedy. But yeah, no, this is a really excellent drama. And it does come a couple of years before what's called as the English New Wave, the kitchen sink dramas that are more celebrated with the beginnings of things like Saturday Night and Sunday Morning and Room at the Top. But yeah, J.B. Thompson kind of got there first really with this one. So yeah, perhaps this is a film that's been overlooked. I mean, the title, Woman in a Dressing Gown, might not necessarily have you excited to watch this film, but believe me, this is a brilliant drama, really well acted, and absolutely worth seeing for the incredible performances from Yvonne Mitchell, Anthony Quayle, and the very beautiful young Sylvia Sims. Now, the love and passion that's shared between Anthony Quayle and Sylvia Sims in Woman in a Dressing Gown is of a sort of delicate nature and more in keeping with a movie such as David Lean's Brief Encounter. And it's interesting to contrast the film with a movie that came out more than 10 years later in 1969, and this is 3 into 2 Won't Go. And this is directed by the theatre director Peter Hall, and it stars Rod Steiger, the very beautiful Judy Geeson, and Claire Bloom, an actress who appeared alongside Julie Harris in The Haunting. And here you can see the cast members. Here's Judy Geeson and Rod Steiger and Claire Bloom. Now, this is, again, an extramarital affair movie, but quite different to Woman in a Dressing Gown and focused much more perhaps on the sex side of things. So in this movie, we have Rod Steiger playing a travelling businessman who is driving along, and he picks up a hitchhiker, the very beautiful and young Judy Geeson, and he sees an opportunity to take her to a nearby hotel and have his way with her. She is used to seeing other men. She has a little black book in which she rates men in terms of their lovemaking. And of course, this really fuels Rod Steiger's ego because she rates him quite highly. Now, he gives her his phone number details, so he thinks that he might be able to have a chance of seeing her again. But what he doesn't prepare for is the fact that she intends to actually follow up with him and actually come to his house. And in fact, she does that whilst he is away. And it's his wife, Claire Bloom, who answers the door. And we're then into this awkward predicament where she's explaining to the wife that, you know, this husband offered to try and help her get employment. And really, Claire Bloom is kind of not having that, and but nonetheless taking her in. And so we now have a household that's shared by all three of them, whilst Rod Steiger has to try and work out how he's going to deal with this. So yeah, this movie is, like I say, a much more sexual movie. You do see a lot of Judy Geeson in this movie, and the characterizations are perhaps not as well written, I don't think, as the ones in Woman in a Dressing Gown. Rod Steiger is an actor who I have mixed feelings about. I do like him in Sidney Lumet's The Pawnbroker, and also in this movie, Across the Bridge. I think that's a great movie. But yeah, he does tend to ham things up a little bit, and I find that to be the case here as well. But yeah, this does come to an interesting head. You do have a really great monologue, if you like, from Claire Bloom towards the end of this film. But overall, I find this film a bit more clumsier, I suppose, than Woman in a Dressing Gown. It's less empathetic, less relatable, but still, nonetheless, an enjoyable watch. And certainly, I do like to see Judy Geeson, a young actress who was in films such as Brannigan, Fear in the Night, Doomwatch, and To Sir with Love. So there we go, extramarital affairs, watch out. But let me know, have you seen either of those movies? I must mention actually one person who has watched my channel, and I've watched him, is Nikolai, who has a film channel called The Film Classic, and several months ago he actually did a review of A Woman in a Dressing Gown, so please do go and check that out on his channel if you haven't seen it already. But okay, thanks very much for watching this video. Hopefully I will see you again soon. All the best. Bye-bye.